Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to our presentation today. My name is Anna. I'm a senior here at Virginia Tech studying material science and engineering with a minor in green engineering, and I'm from Western New York. And today we're just going to give you a little overview of the College of Engineering, what it has to offer. We're going to briefly go through the different majors, but we'll give you some resources in case you really want to dig into those. And Kavya, you can go ahead and introduce yourself too.
My name is Kavya. I'm also a material science and engineering student, also a senior along with Anna. I'm also minoring in green engineering along with creative writing, and I'm actually from the other side of the country in California.
So first, we're just going to tell you a little bit about what it takes to be an engineer. Some of these things are kind of obvious, some less so. So one thing we do like to tell everyone is it does take some creativity. You have to be able to think outside the box a little bit, come up with new solutions to problems, strategize when things go wrong. Doesn't mean you have to be amazing at art or anything like that. It just means you have to be able to kind of grind those gears in your brain and think outside the box. Number two is teamwork. From the very, very first engineering class you ever take here, you will be in a team. And I have been in a team for multiple projects every single semester. So it's a great idea to get some experience with teamwork and figure out your best kind of role, your best fit on a team, and just get used to working collaboratively. Uh, Study habits are super important for being an engineer. One thing I do like to tell everyone is I know a lot of us, myself included a little bit, didn't always have to study super hard in high school. Things were just a little bit easier. You can get away with, doing the homework and doing the study guides and just kind of doing well in your classes. But in college, it's a little bit different because you do have to absorb a lot of the information on your own outside of class. So one thing I encourage you guys to do is fake study. I know that sounds really stupid, but figure out the strategies that work best for you, even if you really don't have to study for a class, like, for example, making flashcards or rewriting your notes or whatever. Just pick one of your slightly more challenging classes and figure out exactly what helps you do the best so that when you get here, it's an easier transition. Um, Interest in math and science, this one is kind of a given. We hope if you're here watching this presentation, you have some foundational interest in math and or science. It does not mean that you have to love every kind of math and every kind of science. I've not taken a biology class since I was in 8th grade, and I do not plan to. I hate biology, but that hasn't held me back or anything. You just have to have, some interest in any math or science and an open mind about taking those classes, even if they're not your favorite. And then another thing that obviously is going to make you stand out on your applications, but is actually genuinely going to help you in college is having a challenging high school background. So definitely take AP, IB, honors classes, anything like that to kind of level yourself up and challenge you before you get to college. Again, just to make that transition a little bit easier.
So these are some of the statistics around our incoming freshman class for 2019. These are a little old because we are pulling from the 2019 group, but we have an average GPA around 4.0. Those are the SAT scores, and while these are the average amount, these don't reflect every single student. That's one important thing to know. Even if you have a GPA that's a little bit lower than this, I definitely had a GPA a little lower than this, so it is definitely doable to get into the engineering program here with credentials that don't exactly reflect the numbers that we're showing here. We also have a 23.2% female population in the engineering college, and a 26.4% population for underrepresented minorities.
Okay, so now I'm going to take you through a little bit of what the first year of engineering here looks like and how our engineering curriculum is set up in general. So the first thing that we want to tell you guys is that we have something called a common entry point. Basically, when you get here, obviously there's going to be some differences based on the classes you've taken in high school and what AP credits transfer and all that, but everybody starts out on the same page with engineering. I'll get into a little bit more of that later when I talk about the last bullet on this page. But another thing that we do like to tell everyone is that we accept a ton of AB, IB, all of those credits here. And there's a really, really helpful spreadsheet online. If you just look up or use this QR code, you can find exactly what grade on what AP or IB or any of that, what that will translate to here. And that's super, super helpful. I didn't realize that that I was going to get so much credit. I ended up coming in with 31 credits or something insane like that. They didn't all count for my degree just because some things like AP US history and AP World history cover the same requirement, but definitely something to look into because that eases your transition again and helps you get more like, bang for your buck. If you already did your US history, why take it again if you don't want to? And this is also really helpful too if you do want to try and get ahead in any of your math classes or things like that. We do take calc grades and whatnot. Another thing that we're really, really excited about here is our pathways curriculum. So this is our general education, like liberal arts curriculum that goes along with your engineering requirements. And basically what this is it's a sort of new program, but it's kind of a guide, like literally a pathway for what classes you take outside your major. And it's awesome because it's really a cohesive experience and you can even get a minor in your pathway. So instead of just taking random classes at random times that fit in your schedule or whatever, you actually get like a well-rounded experience doing this pathways curriculum. So it's really, really awesome, really broad. There's like 7 different core concepts that you can take your pathway in. And I definitely encourage you to look more into that because when we started here, Kavya and I, this is not what the system was. And so I kind of just ended up taking a bunch of random classes, which I would have loved to have had this pathways curriculum back when I started here, just because I really do think it adds an element of well-roundedness to your background and gives you like a solid knowledge bank. So definitely recommend checking that out. We're really excited about it. And then this last bullet, this is something super important. So if you're going to pay attention to any part of this presentation, this is the moment you want to pay attention to. So when you apply here, you apply into general engineering and you remain in general engineering for your entire freshman year. So even if you have your heart set on electrical engineering, you don't get to decide until the end of your freshman year, which personally, I am so happy that that's what this curriculum is. I changed my mind probably 100 times during my freshman year. And you get the opportunity throughout your whole freshman year to go to a bunch of different info sessions on all of the different types of engineering. And it's honestly takes a lot of weight off your shoulders instead of having to decide before you ever take an engineering class to actually have the whole year to figure it out. And then the way that you decide and you get put into what engineering major you want is if you have a 3.0 GPA at the end of your freshman year, so over 2 semesters, if you average out to a 3.0 or above, you are guaranteed your first choice of majors. So you'll fill out a survey and rank your top 3 or 5 majors. But regardless, if you have a 3.0, you get your first choice. And the way this works is that if the class before you, say mechanical engineering, if they had 60 students and this year 70 students applied and wanted to do it, they will readjust, hire more faculty, spread the classes out, and increase their cap or like their space to 70 students. And then vice versa, if they had 70 students last year and this year only 60 with a 3.0 want it, they'll fill those remaining 10 spots with the 2.99, 2.98, all that. So this is a awesome, super great program that they have kind of implemented here. And a 3.0 is not really daunting by any means, very manageable. And there's a lot of resources here to help you figure out either how to get that GPA up if it is low or how to figure out what engineering you want.
In addition to all the different classes that you'll be taking as an engineering student, your first year, you're going to be involved in a year-long course, which is the fundamentals or foundations of engineering. This is a really interesting course because it's basically where you're going to learn all those different basic engineering skills, whether it's programming, data collection, analysis. You'll be getting to use softwares like MATLAB to solve problems in your class. And that's mainly the first semester. You'll be doing MATLAB, you'll be doing professional teamwork skills, and trying to get those kind of skills that will be helpful for when you go into your second semester. And you basically do this really cool and kind of really fun design project. My year, we had a drone that we made, a wind turbine. Some people did a science exhibit for one of the local museums here, and basically you get to develop the skills that you learned in your first semester with programming and design, and actually apply it to something. And you basically solve a real life problem. There's so many pictures that I have, like going into the big drone cage on campus and flying those drones. And we didn't go very far, but it was still really fun to do that entire process. So that's kind of what that first year class is going to be like. And you'll be able to interact with a lot of engineering students as well and kind of figure out what kind of major you want to declare at the end of your year.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to take a second to answer a couple questions that got posted. So, someone asked if it matters if we got accepted into a different kind of engineering, if you get the opportunity to change it at the end of your first year. Yes, everybody comes in on the same page, even if you like chose what preferences of engineering you like when you applied here, you aren't bound to that by any means. It's more of like an interest thing, trying to gauge your interest and see what the class of I don't even know what I guess the high school class of 2021 is looking for when they come here. So you have the opportunity to change it, honestly, all the way up until right before your fall semester of sophomore year. So I didn't decide mine until the summer after my freshman year. So that is good. And then how difficult is it to get a 3.0 GPA at VT? Kazi, you can speak on this too. I don't think it's that difficult. I did not find it super difficult, especially freshman year. Um, Taking some of the more basic classes that you'll take to get your degree. You definitely still need to have like time management and stuff. It's not like you could just do nothing and not study and just get a 3.0, but I don't really think it's that hard.
I think one of the main things with trying to maintain that GPA would be to not overload yourself your first year. It's understandable you'd think you'd want to overload because your other classes are going to be harder later on and you want to make some free space. But it's a good idea to not go like a night or 19 credit hours in your first couple of semesters just so you can get adjusted and figure out like what like skills you need to do for like studying for exams, projects, and things like that, because it's very different in high school and when you get into college. So I think one of good way to maintain the GPA is to kind of understand what are your limits and what are your boundaries in terms of how much you want to study and if you're going to be successful with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And there's a lot of resources here to help you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
that's good. I can definitely answer some of these other questions when we get to those sections in the presentation. So
Yeah.
hang on tight.
Alrighty. So next, we're going to give you a little glimpse of the freshman class from last year. I don't know what happened to this little graph over here, but you can see these numbers. So the reason that the engineering education category is so big is because that encompasses all of the freshmen and anybody else who hasn't declared their specific engineering major yet. So this includes like transfer students, even some grad students, like all of that. So that's why that one's so big. But you can see here we've got a pretty nice spread between all of the majors. Some of the smaller ones are like engineering, science, and mechanics, mining, engineering, and then obviously our most popular ones are like computer science and mechanical. So this is just a little glimpse, and it's important for us to note right here our biomedical major is the only major that has a cap on it or any restrictions on it right now. This is because it just got introduced as a major program. It's been a minor program for a long time. And so what they're doing right now is they're placing caps on it for a couple of years um, until they like have everything perfect, all the kinks worked out, and then it'll be just like any other major. So biomedical engineering is the only one that requires like any extra applying or interviewing or whatever during your freshman year. But if that's something that you're interested in or that you want to know more about, let us know and we can put you in touch with somebody to ask questions. Or if you do come here and you are a freshman and trying to figure out what to do, um, they'll give you all of the information that you need to apply to biomedical in your freshman engineering classes. But no other majors have any restrictions like that one.
Now we'll get into the opportunities available here at Tech. One thing to note is that we have a plethora of minors available in the College of Engineering. Some of them are listed below. One of the more popular ones, both me and Anna are taking it, is Green Engineering, where we basically learn the sustainability aspect within all the different engineering majors, and you get to kind of specialize what courses you take within that. Some of the other more popular ones listed here are biomedical engineering, people who are interested in medicine, a lot of people who do biosystems engineering, also minor in biomedical. Um, and another one is typically cybersecurity, especially if you're a computer science major. Yeah. And in addition to that, we have a lot of other minors available here at Tech. I'm doing creative writing in the College of Engineering, so you don't have to limit yourself to only engineering specific minors. We also have a lot of undergraduate research opportunities. If you guys are interested in getting into the lab and kind of playing around with different instruments and really understanding some of the topics that you learn in class, research is a great opportunity to do that. And there are many professors who are happy to take on students, whether it's for credit, you volunteer, or even get paid. There are a lot of scholarships and fellowships also here at Tech that kind of help you through the research process and guide you through it. And I've done a couple of those myself. We also have study abroad within the engineering college, as well as um, external programs. One specific one is called RISE, where students at the end of their freshman year, I believe, you go to different countries around the world. Some of one set of countries include South Africa and another country I cannot remember the top of my head, but you basically get to learn about global engineering practices and visit different facilities and factories and basically see how engineering is done in different places around the world. We also have professional societies here at Tech, whether that's within the specific major engineering major itself or a general engineering professional society. And in addition to that are the engineering organizations here on campus.
Yes, and if you want more information about that specific study abroad, you can just look up Rising Sophomore Abroad program and it'll tell you all about it. But that's an opportunity a lot of people take, and it's really cool because you also get to take a seminar class before you go and learn like about engineering practices, learn how to act in different countries and stuff like that. So if you've never been abroad before, this is a really, really good opportunity. And I'm going to answer a couple questions from the chat. Is the biomedical minor capped as well? No, the biomedical minor is not capped. Not that I know of. I don't think any of the engineering minors are capped. The major is just capped right now because they're increasing the scale so much. Can you declare a major right away, or do you declare it after freshman year? You cannot declare it right away. You declare it after freshman year. If you are fully decided on your major as a freshman and you're not going to be swayed at all, that's totally fine. There's people all over the spectrum on their decisions. So if that's you, if you already know what you're doing, then you can take some classes based on that if you want to, just to get ahead a little bit or whatever. But you can't declare it before the end of your freshman year, which I don't see as a bad thing. I don't see as it holding you back at all because everybody else is in the same boat as you. So depending on when you get here and what major you pick, there are some classes you could take in the spring, like a linear algebra or an intro to computer science class to give you a leg up. But no, you can't.
Yeah, and going off what Anna said, you can go and skip if you have like AP credits for physics. You can skip the first physics that you have to take and go immediately into the physics that's electronics and magnetism in your second semester. So there are opportunities to get ahead and use those AP credits and not necessarily declare your major early.
Yes, and then another question is, can we choose first and second semester courses together? You can't, just because the way it works here is when you start as a freshman, like when you come to your summer orientation before the year starts, that's when you do your course selection for the first semester. And then all of your subsequent semesters, your course request opens kind of like 2/3 maybe of the way into your semester for the next semester. So you can plan it all out. You can look up your specific engineering. We have check sheets for all of them that lay out all the credits you need per semester. So if you know you're going to get AP credit or whatever and want to look at what your schedule might be, definitely feel free to look those up and fit yourself in. But you can't choose, like, you can't lay out your whole entire year at the beginning of freshman year, like in the system, but you can do it on your own. I hope that makes sense. One thing that a lot of students do here is internships and co-ops. So the difference between an internship and a co-op is typically an internship is anywhere from like 8 to 12 weeks, usually over the summertime. And then a co-op is longer. A co-op is usually about a full semester. And a lot of people take a semester or 2 or 3 off from school and kind of like rotate between doing a co-op and doing a semester of classes. It is possible to still graduate in 4 years if you do a co-op. You just need to work with your advisor on it. But most people do internships just because it's like a little bit more convenient to fit into your schedule to just do school during the year and then internship in the summer. But this is by far the best way, really, to take all of that knowledge that you learned in the classroom and just apply it to the real world and get that like hands-on experience. Um, these companies here and states are just some of the places that the dean's team members, myself and Kavya and the other ambassadors, these are places that we've interned. So I've personally interned with GE Aviation for 3 summers now. One was in North Carolina, one was in Delaware, and the other one was virtual this past summer. But that's been super awesome and directly related to my major. If you want to hear more about it, I can talk about it at the end. But Kavya, if you want to talk about your experience, go ahead.
Yeah, so I actually interned at a place in California called the Lawrence Livermore National Lab, and it has not as much things to do with specifically what interest I'm in MSc, but I got to do a lot of things working with lasers at the Lawrence Livermore National Lab and doing a lot of materials projects around that. And I'll be working at 3M this coming summer.
One thing that we do love to tell you guys about is how we got all those internships and co-ops and all that. It's from the career fairs here. So Virginia Tech has actually the largest student-run career fair in the nation. It's called Engineering Expo, and it's awesome. It's honestly at this point, it's like over 300 companies or something come. They have to split up over 3 days, and essentially all these companies come. They set up their booths, and you go and you give your elevator pitch, and you give them your resume, and you talk to them. And one of the best, most awesome features of this is that almost every single company sends at least one Hokie back as a recruiter. So you can see in this middle picture here, the woman wearing the maroon and orange is actually the recruiter. And so it's kind of like an informal saying that Hokies hire Hokies. And having somebody that has literally been in your exact shoes come back to recruit you for a job takes so much of the intimidation, of the uncertainty, literally everything out of the job seeking process. So last year when I was at Engineering Expo, or I guess, yeah, last year when it was in person, I actually talked to somebody who majored in material science engineering, had all of the same professors as me, like knew exactly what my knowledge base was, knew everything about the classes I've taken, like literally she had been through the exact same process. So it's really, really cool to have that kind of barrier broken down and to really have people that understand you and where you're coming from to help you find jobs. So that's our big one, Engineering Expo. And then the other one is a little bit smaller. It's called Cameo. That's in the spring. And it's kind of like any companies who weren't ready in the fall, didn't know how many people they were looking for, people that have either like increased their cap size or didn't meet their cap in the fall. They just come back in the spring and do it all again. So a lot of students get their jobs from these career fairs. And it's a very positive experience. It helps you a lot professionally. And it's awesome to get to know people and work with people that are alumni that care about giving you a job.
This is a really fun slide because I'm very much a part of this community myself. So Galileo and Hypatia is a part of a living learning community that's residing in Hoke Hall, used to be called Lee Hall. But basically this is an engineering specific living learning community, and it's basically all about connecting with different engineering students in your freshman year and getting help with assignments, projects, and kind of using that engineering community to help get adjusted to college life. Here you'll be able to have access to different upper class community members who serve as mentors and committee members. Basically, you'll be doing a lot of different activities as part of this community. You'll be doing social activities, outreach, and that all just goes to help you get adjusted to college life. As a freshman, you get a mentor who's supposed to guide you through that first couple of weeks as a engineering student here at Tech, because it's definitely kind of jarring when you don't know what's going on, but they are very much helpful in telling you what are the best places to eat, where are the best places to study on campus when we're on campus. All those different things, like which professors are great for whatever classes and things like that. I really like this. I've been in the community since I was a freshman. I was a mentor, I was a community member, and I also helped run one of the really important, really cool places in Hoke Hall called a studio, the Invent Studio. Basically, there's a lot of different tools like power tools, laser cutters. It's basically a space for anyone who's really creative and wants to make different crafts and make different things. I've seen someone make like a hutch for their dorm room in there. So it's a really fun place to be, and that's kind of one of the cool features also here in the Galapagos community. And I also can answer any specific questions about that later on.
Yes, Galapagos is awesome. I was there too, and actually two of the girls that are my roommates right now live on my hall. One of them across from me, the other one diagonal from me. So it seems like a big nerdy thing to some people I know, but it's awesome. Definitely worth it. Even if you're not sure about it, just apply for it. You're not locked in or anything. So definitely recommend it. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. We have other options for you. So two of the things I'm going to tell you about are peer mentoring and STEP. So STEP is the Student Transition into Engineering program. This is a 5-week thing over the summer where you take the first 5 weeks of some of the basic classes, so like chemistry, calculus, physics, and you go all the way through the first test. You take it with people that are going to be doing engineering with you in the fall. You come here, you live in a dorm, it's all the same professors. So essentially, just like a little bit of a head start on all of your classes, but then at the end of it, nothing counts. Does not count towards your GPA, does not count towards anything. So basically, it's just designed to help you transition, like I said, student transition into engineering. So this is a really cool opportunity, a great way to make friends. A bunch of my friends, like that I met in my dorm, had all done it, and they already knew each other coming in. They knew where each other were living. So it's a really great way to see if like what you're going to have to do, how you're going to have to adjust when it's time to live here. So if that sounds interesting to you, look it up, or we'll drop our emails in the chat after this is done, and we can help you connect you to the right people. And then the other thing is peer mentoring. So like Kavya said, if you live in Hypatia or Galileo, you automatically get a mentor. But if you're still interested in having a mentor outside of the dorms, then you can apply to have a peer mentor from SEED, which is the Center for Engineering, the Enhancement of Engineering Diversity. Um, Having a mentor is awesome. Like Kavya said, there's so many things that you don't realize you don't know until it's time for you to know them, and you're like, oh my god, what do I do? It's like a dining hall. My mentor taught me how to work the bus system. We have a really, really good public transportation system here, but I had never really used public transportation before, and like got really nervous. Didn't know you have to like pull the string to stop the bus and everything. So my mentor actually like took us all on the bus, like just a little spin around campus, just so we actually like were comfortable and physically knew exactly what to do. So never ever, this is my opinion and my advice, never pass up an opportunity to have a mentor.
So another really cool part about Virginia Tech, and specifically the engineering program, is that we have a motto called hands-on, minds-on, which basically means that all your professors and many of your peers and people in the faculty are going to encourage you to take the stuff that you learn in class and apply it outside. And one really good way to do that is through design teams. So we have a lot of design teams here on campus. These are some of the more general ones. There's a lot that are specific to each major as well. And all these ones here that are listed are part of the Ware Lab, which is kind of right next. It's a building where a bunch of these design teams have their cars, have different equipment, and it's right kind of off campus, apart from the dining hall. And it's a really cool place to tour if you guys have an opportunity your freshman year when everything is kind of back to normal. You should definitely take a chance just to like look through there. You can talk to different people who are on these teams, and they're always happy to tell you about their projects and get you to join as well. Some of these really cool ones are the human-powered submarine. I have a friend who's in that, and she absolutely loves it. It's a really cool experience. And yeah, this is a really great part of Virginia Tech and all the things that they have to offer here.
So now it's time for a little bragging. We do like to say some of our rankings because obviously we can say all the good things we want, but it shows really in the rankings. So we're pretty high in our undergraduate programs and our producers of engineers, our producers of women engineers. We're really proud of it, and every year each of our individual majors get ranked very highly as well. I would like to note that the most important ranking ever is not on here, best food. So Virginia Tech has consistently placed in like the top 2 for food on campus for the entire time I've been here and even before I came here. So That's not something that everybody thinks about when they're looking at colleges, but trust me, you want to make sure wherever you go, even if it's not here, that the food is delicious because you are going to have to eat it all the time. And I promise you, the food here is so good. After most people move off campus, they still have a dining plan. Like me and all my friends live off campus. Like I have a dining plan. I'm a senior. I know how to cook, but it's so good. So definitely that is a ranking. We also rank really highly in like happiest students and quality of life and that stuff. So if rankings are something that mean a lot to you, we are super high in all of the engineering rankings, but also really high in other parts of life that are important.
Highly recommend the food ranking. That is one important part because you're going to be on campus at least all of your freshman year and you want to have good food, right? Yeah. So some of these are another list of statistics that are pretty important, but one important thing to note is that we have a basically 90% success rate for freshmen to continue into their second year of engineering. That means that students want to stay in engineering and we don't like have a general policy of like weeding out students, which is pretty important. They want you to succeed. Um, and after graduation, there are a bunch of students get employed right after or they go to graduate school. I know that those numbers are not necessarily adding up, but it's also because seniors don't necessarily fill out that survey that gets sent out at the end of the year. But we do have almost all students who graduate out of engineering get jobs, go to grad school, or have something set in for their next kind of phase of life afterwards. And that's the median starting salary, and that kind of differs between what type of engineering you're doing and obviously what industry you're going into.
Yes, and if salary is like super important to you, if you're curious, there's this giant number spreadsheet online. If you just look up like Virginia Tech graduating salary, something like that, it will come up, and it will show you like literally the mean, median, and mode like salaries for every major here. So again, if you're a numbers person, I definitely like scoured that before I decided what I wanted to do. And then another thing to note on this slide, so for the freshmen who continue to their second year in engineering, it's 98 to 99% in when you live in Galileo or Hypatia. So again, that just shows all of the resources that you have and how encouraging it is here. It's not cutthroat at all. We all work together and bring each other up. Another thing that I thought was really important when I was looking at schools. So just to give you a little overview of scholarships, there's a couple that are available to freshmen. So definitely fill out your FAFSA. It's kind of annoying, kind of a drag, but worth it. Fill it out. When you apply, you'll automatically be considered for the Pratt Engineering Scholarship, so that's not something that you have to worry about separate from your application. The only thing that is available to freshmen, like through the College of Engineering, that you would have to apply for separately is the Davenport Leadership Scholarship. So this is like a 2-round application for a scholarship that's renewable every year. And even if you feel like you don't fit the criteria or anything, there's no harm in applying. I encourage everybody to do it. You fill out the first round and it's like a little bit less detailed, and then they'll invite you back to the second round if you like make it past kind of the first set of criteria. And the second round is a little bit more intensive just because you're getting closer to getting a lot of money. But never shy away from applying to any scholarship, even if you don't think you're super eligible or whatever, worth a shot. If anybody is transferring from a Virginia community college, we can put you in touch with somebody who can tell you more about this scholarship. And then for upperclassmen, there are way, way more scholarships available. Just because when people graduate from Virginia Tech and alumni come back to donate, they typically donate back to their engineering school. So as a freshman, since you're in general engineering or their engineering department, when you're in general engineering, you don't really have access to those departmental scholarships just because you haven't decided your department yet. So once you become an upperclassman, there's a big application that goes out. You'll get a million emails about it. Somehow my parents got emails about it too, and they were like, "Did you do it yet?" So you will not miss it. It does not take that long to fill out, and you automatically get considered for any College of Engineering funds and for the departmental funds. So it's really simple and very accessible to everyone. And we have a couple questions that I will take to answer now. One is a Pratt Engineering Scholarship released. I'm not really sure. Do you know, Kavya?
I know I got that, and it is somewhere around late May, I think. you definitely get it much like get that notification long before you start coming to tech on campus. So you'll get it
Okay.
soon if you'll hear a notification from it
Yeah,
sometime
and
in the
they
next couple of months.
email you. You'll get
Mhm.
an email from the financial aid office that'll be like, you have a new scholarship on your account or whatever. But typically, any financial aid stuff that's from the school gets applied in the fall, or not in the fall, before your fall semester, so like during the summertime. Even if you have a lot of credit going in, you still have to wait until the end of your freshman year to declare a major. Yes. So I know this is kind of a weird, confusing thing. Some people get kind of annoyed by it. But basically, the way that it works is like you are a general engineer for your whole freshman year. Um, like we kind of touched on before, you can take classes your spring semester that go towards whatever major that you're choosing. You can definitely get ahead for second semester or freshman year. You can take classes that are going to help you, that are going to go directly towards the major that you want to pick, but you can't technically decide on it and be registered in that major until the end of your freshman year.
There is a
Um,
benefit to that because it kind of like it forces you to be a little bit more patient and kind of like explore the different engineering majors because in that foundations of engineering class you're going to be learning about every single major. You're going to have opportunities to go to like a departmental info night and like get to see like what kind of projects they're doing and all those different things. So it may seem a little bit annoying, but it is beneficial at the end of the day.
yeah, for sure. And in no way will it set you behind anybody else at all. Everyone's in the same boat. If you take classes towards your major in the spring of your freshman year, that's going to put you ahead. So I thought I knew what I wanted to do when I came here. It turns out I didn't at all. So I enjoyed that.
I can answer one of the questions. How competitive is it to get in Galapatia? It can be competitive. You do have to fill out an application to be a part of that dorm and living learning community. It's basically two questions saying why do you want to be in the community and what can you bring to the community. So those are really all that you have to answer. But every single student, like we all read your applications and want to make sure that you're actually going to be an active participant. So you're going to need a computer in college. That's going to help you with projects, whatnot. And the school does recommend a laptop or a 2-in-1 inch tablet. All the computer requirements are listed online and they're updated yearly. So you want to make sure to look at that before you go ahead and purchase anything, just to make sure that you have the correct software, all the necessary extensions, whatever, just so you don't purchase something in advance and then have to purchase something again to like make up for that. I find this a benefit, but having something that's touchscreen is pretty nice because in a lot of these classes, you're going to be in rooms that aren't really conducive to like writing on a notepad and whatnot, and having a touch screen is going to be helpful for note taking and different things like that. So one major important thing to remember is to look online for those requirements because that's the big thing.
Yes, I agree with Kavya. A lot of professors, like she said, like post their stuff. I usually what I do is just download a professor's PowerPoint before it's time for class, and I just write on my touch screen and take all my notes on there. So I know a lot of people traditionally like to write with pen and paper just because it kind of gets into your brain better when you're physically writing it. But I have felt like handwriting it, even though it's on my computer screen, has been very effective. So now what we're going to do is we're going to briefly take you through all of the different kinds of engineering. Obviously, they're going to be way more complicated and complex and everything that we can get into in this short presentation. But we know people in every type of engineering that are thrilled to answer any questions that you guys have. So if anybody wants email addresses or has more specific questions about these majors, please let us know and we will hook you up. But the first one I'm going to talk about is electrical engineering. So electrical engineering is somewhat self-explanatory. It's very, very hands-on, and they work a lot in the lab, working on circuits, working on literally power electronics, literally everything. So this is a really cool major because you can pick a track once you're in the major. So there's like a power systems one, there's like nano systems, space systems, and you can also stay on the general track if you want. But this is fully like on the hardware side. And it's really cool because you can tell when the electrical engineers have labs. One of my roommates is an electrical engineer, and she leaves with a whole extra backpack full of all of her like wires and resistors and all of this stuff. And they actually take a lot of really cool classes where they have to like build circuits to do a certain function, or like they get kind of the inside of a PS4 controller to take this class called microcontrollers, and they have to like program games and like play the games with it. So if you are interested in hands-on stuff and you like tinkering or soldering or anything like that, this is a perfect major for you. And again, this is kind of on the end of the hardware spectrum.
So, computer engineering is kind of that major where it's a bit of a blend between computer science and electrical engineering. So, this is all about making computers a lot more mobile and incorporating computers into different other systems like fabrics, building materials, and things like that. As a computer engineer, you have the option to move into the hardware side of the industry or the software, or kind of a blend between the two. Like electrical engineering, you can kind of customize your major to be what you want to focus in on. There are a lot of industries that are hiring computer engineers for things like financial services, chemical companies, defense contractors, and there are a lot of different opportunities available in this program. A lot of the classes that you'll be taking are going to be alongside computer science majors and electrical engineering majors, so there's a lot of like interdisciplinary work that's involved there. Some really cool opportunities here are Hyperloop, which is uh, basically an interdisciplinary organization that's all about the future of transportation. We have leading research in power electronic systems, and a lot of people are doing research in batteries and things like that. And that's also a really big part of this program. And also, you get to do a senior capstone project where you work with industry partners and actually make something and have present on it and actually learn more about the different implications of these systems.
Electrical and computer engineering are housed in the same department. It's called ECE, but they are separate majors, just to let you guys know that. So, on the other end of the spectrum from electrical engineering is computer science. So, computer science is a lot more software based. That's kind of why computer engineering is right in the middle of those two. It's kind of a nice combination. But computer science is all about working on the performance and usability and the design of computer systems, and how like adding in computing can transform or improve technology. So this major is applicable in all of these fields listed here, in any creative fields and software engineering. You can do game design, you can work on um, bioinformatics, you can honestly work on anything. Computer science is a very, very big and up and coming field, and it's a useful background for pretty much anybody to have. A lot of our engineering majors here that are not computer science have like some kind of programming requirement, just because it's really, really, really helpful to have a background in like any type of programming for problem solving purposes. This is a very problem solving heavy major and very software based. And they have this cool thing that they use. It's called the Cube. It's in the Moth Art Center, which is like our performance center on campus. And it's this ginormous room. It's really dark. There's like scaffolding and stuff around the edges. And one time I was walking by with my friend, and there was like a sign outside that was like, "Oh, computer science event, like come into the cube." And we are like, okay. A lot of that happens to you a lot on campus. There's always random, fun, cool events happening that have nothing to do with your life that you just kind of stumble across. So this is one of those. We went in and they had us put on these like hard hats with wooden dowels on the top, just randomly arranged, kind of like poking out of our heads. And at that point, I'm like, okay, maybe this is a mistake, but there's a big projector screen on the wall. And essentially what happened was there were all these sensors like arranged in the room, and the sensors could tell what kind of animal we were based on the protrusions of the dowels from our heads. And so we had to look at the screen, see what kind of animal we were, and then hurt ourselves based on what the sensors were reading. So it was super random, but kind of a really cool technology if you think about it, like that the computer system could see the pattern on your head and then decide what animal you are. So this is my experience with computer science, but it's really cool. Again, another hands-on opportunity, just in a different way than electrical engineering.
So mechanical engineering is something that we like to call the Swiss Army knife of engineering, or kind of like the jack of all trades type of engineering. And basically, it's the major where you apply the principles of motion, heat, energy, and design different machines and devices. It's a really, really hands-on major. Like in your all those design teams that we talked about earlier are going to actively encourage and kind of recruit from the mechanical engineering department, because those students are typically going to be interested in those design teams because there's a lot of like racing car stuff, and you're going to have a lot of opportunities to do hands-on projects. And in addition to that, you can tailor your technical electives to focus on different topic areas, like the one like acoustics, aeronautics, biomedical. Some people like controls, fluid mechanics, um, all those different opportunities and different things that you can focus in on within mechanical engineering. So it can be really broad, but you can also focus to whatever you specifically like. And this is a really good major if you're unsure about what type of engineering or what specific area you want to focus in, because you get a really broad understanding of engineering and then a lot of different electives to kind of figure out what you like.
Yes, that's kind of why mechanical engineering is our biggest major here because it's the most broad and gives you like the biggest background. And definitely it's helpful if you're not sure what you want to do because you can pretty much do anything as a mechanical engineer. Um, so another one of our majors is aerospace engineering. This is pretty self-explanatory. They work a lot on aerodynamics, flight dynamics, controls, propulsion. And this one you can also pick a track in. So you can do the structures and materials track. You can work on the propulsion track. So this is all about how planes fly through the air, how the engine functions, like how to balance lift and drag, and all that stuff. One of our really cool things that we have here is a wind tunnel. So aerospace students working on these projects, there's small scale wind tunnels in our labs, and then there's a giant wind tunnel here that actually we got gifted to us from NASA. So NASA was building a new wind tunnel, and they were like, "Here, you want our little garbage leftovers?" Obviously, we said yes. So we took their wind tunnel, and all of the aerospace students use it now. And then after NASA built their new wind tunnel, they realized that the one that they had given us was better. So they asked for it back, and we said no, obviously. So it's still on campus, and it's a really, really cool opportunity. It's literally like in the middle of campus. You can just like you walk by it without even realizing that it's a wind tunnel. But it's a really great way because to translate that hands-on learning, because it's something like aerospace engineering. It's not like you can just build a plane and see if it works. It's not like things like chemical engineering where you can simulate a reaction or something like that. So it's awesome that they found a way to translate that into hands-on learning. It's a little bit less hands-on just because of the scale of the projects and things that they do, but this is a really popular major for people also interested in working with the military, because aerospace engineering is really important for that stuff too. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely take a look into it.
Aerospace and ocean engineering are really kind of similar because you get to study basically almost the same thing. One is through air, which is aerospace, and then water, which is ocean engineering. Typically, you'll be in a lot of the same classes. If you're an ocean engineering major, most of your classes are going to be with aero students because of all the overlap. So basically, this major deals with the design of all different types of ships. It's often called naval architecture, and there's a lot of influence from the Navy in this major. Um, Basically, you'll be doing a lot of learning about fluid mechanics, structures, marine engineering. And in your senior year, you'll be getting to do a design sequence where you actually build an entire ship, which is really cool. And I've heard a lot of cool stories about that whole experience. Some really cool things that you can focus in on are the human powered submarine team. They actively recruit within the ocean engineering department, and they've done pretty well in a lot of their competitions so far, before COVID, obviously. But there's a lot of research also in ocean engineering. A lot of professors will take students, and you get to go to different places and kind of understand naval architecture and marine engineering in those different areas.
Another thing about our departments is aerospace and ocean are housed in the same department, just like electrical and computer engineering. Just want to hammer that home because you'll see like AOE is the name of the department. Um, and we're also going to speed up a little bit through these last couple majors because we want to make sure we have time to get to all you guys' questions. So if we're going too fast, I'm sorry, but there's a ton of information about all of these majors online. If you Google Explore Engineering Virginia Tech, there's like a big page dedicated to telling you all of the different careers you can get into, the classes you would take, etc. So industrial and systems engineering, this is a really cool major. Basically, they're focused on how to make everything more efficient. So like how to make an assembly line more efficient, how to cut a material to use as much as possible, how to create a work system to be more efficient. So this is really cool because you can improve things in any area of the business. So human factors like where your desk is in relation to where your workstation like is, all this kind of stuff. So some of the really awesome job opportunities you get as an industrial and systems engineer are, for example, a bunch of students that we know on the dean's team have interned for Disney World. They go and they work at Disney World and they help them like design the line structures to like hide the lines from people so that you don't see how long it is, or to most efficiently like funnel people through the park, where to put like the Dole Whip stand so you can get the most traffic, like all of that stuff. So that's one end. We've had some students that go and work for like UPS and help them figure out like the most efficient path to deliver all the packages and all that kind of stuff. So this is really cool because it's a little bit more like on the business side in terms of you have to kind of know what's going on as a whole. It's not like you're focused on like one process or one material or one like, I don't know, station of work. It's like looking at a company or looking at a manufacturing process as a whole. So this is really cool if you're interested in kind of more of that management or like overarching thing. But industrial and systems engineering is awesome. And yeah.
One other major we have is chemical engineering, and it's a pretty high ranked college if that's kind of what you're interested in. This major, you basically learn all the different principles about chemistry, physics, and math to basically solve how to produce chemicals and how to basically kind of what a chemist makes in the lab and blow it up large scale. So you're going to be doing a lot of factory analysis, a lot of different kind of large scale operations, kind of research, processing research. You can go into a bunch of different industries like chemicals, drugs, cosmetics. My roommate is a chemical engineer, and she's done a lot of cosmetics engineering, like making what's it called? Hand sanitizer for like this whole COVID thing. So there's a bunch of different things you can do as a chemical engineering major. One really cool opportunity here is there is a built-in study abroad option, pre-COVID obviously, but basically in your junior year that summer you'll be have to take a lab that's part of the curriculum, and you have the opportunity to take it either in Denmark, Germany, or in Blacksburg. So if you choose Denmark or Germany, you get to spend summer one or summer two in those areas and kind of explore and understand the culture and also get some credits taken care of. So that's another really cool opportunity if you want to do study abroad but aren't kind of figuring out how you'll be able to like integrate it with your curriculum.
Yes, and if you're out of state, it's cheaper to do it in Denmark or Germany than it is to do it in Blacksburg. So again, why not? We probably will go over our 12:15 time. So if you have to leave, that's totally fine. We're sorry. We're just really passionate about engineering. We want to make sure you guys have a ton of information. I'm going to pause right now to answer a couple questions. So asking about if in-person tours will be available this summer. So we aren't affiliated with the College of Admissions or the Hokie Ambassadors that give these tours, but I just asked a couple of my friends that are Hokie Ambassadors, and they said that there have been no official decisions yet. They're planning for it in hopes that it is allowed, but our regulations in Virginia and set out by the college and the town of Blacksburg change really frequently, so we can't give you a concrete answer right now. But if you stay tuned to our social media channels, our Facebook page, and all of that, I'm sure it will be clearly announced if they are going to be available. We do have the opportunity for you to do like a self-guided tour or a car tour around. If you come to Blacksburg, just go to the admissions center and they will help you there. But nobody knows for sure yet about in-person tours for the summer, but they're hopefully planning on it. So I know that kind of sucks. I'm sorry. I wish that you guys could have in-person tours, but it's just out of our hands at this point. And then let's see. I think we answered some of the computer engineering questions, but is there a swim club? Yes, there's a swim club. I know a couple people in it. It seems like a great time. They swim. There's a lot of clubs here. We will get into that a little bit later. But yes, there's a swim club. Kavya, do you know if you can apply to Galapagos without making your deposit?
I'm pretty sure yes, you can apply before you've accepted, but you kind of have to do it immediately, like pretty soon after, because if you want to like have a decision in before you have that deadline for accepting.
Yes. Okay. I was pretty sure because I think my roommate freshman year in Hypatia, she like made her decision based on if she got into Hypatia or not. Like she was gonna go to NC State or something, and then she got into Hypatia and decided to come here. Yay. Okay. We can get to some of these towards the end. I would like to get through the rest of the engineering types. So sorry again, we're going over a little bit. We just love it. Okay, so now we're at the best engineering major ever. Both of us can agree on that one. No, I'm just kidding. But material science and engineering is basically the study of what materials are used for what purposes and why, and their strengths and weaknesses and their processing methods. So the way our major works is you take one class or like one core class and four of these materials. So you take a ceramics class, an electronic materials class, a metals class, and a polymers class, just to get the foundation of all these materials. And then essentially what you do is you choose your tech elective and the rest of your classes based on what you liked from those. So I really like ceramics, so I've been taking different ceramics and composites classes to try and design my own little track. A lot of people like to take organic chemistry because they're interested in polymers. Kavya can tell you about that, I think. But then we also have a lot of hands-on opportunities. We have a ton of labs. You're in a lab from the very first time, your very first semester as an MSc major, all the way through the end. And we do have a year-long senior senior capstone project that actually starts in the spring of your junior year. So you get to rank your top projects that you want to do, and then you get put into a group at the end of your spring semester junior year, and then you start working, and you work all the way through the end of the spring of your senior year. So Kavya and I are both heavily involved in senior design right now. It's awesome. It teaches you how to be independent and do work on your own and utilize all these skills and things that you've been learning for the past 4 years. Super hands-on major. We love it. And the reason that this football picture on here is because Virginia Tech in 2007 made it to the ACC football championship, but before the game, like a week before or something, one of our running backs broke his arm, and they think he wasn't going to be able to play because the NCAA rules a typical cast as a weapon because it's so hard. So the football team reached out to the MSc department and asked us to create a cast out of some material that wouldn't be hard enough to be considered a weapon, but would be strong enough to stabilize his arm and make sure he didn't get further injured. So we rose to the challenge. We made a cast for him. The NCAA said he could play. So he played. Virginia Tech won the ACC championship. So yes, engineers can win football games too. We really like to stake our claim to fame on the football team sometimes, but not so much this year. But yeah, I could go on forever about MSc. Kavya, if you would like to add anything, go ahead. But sorry.
I think we're a little biased, but we believe MSc is the best major because materials are everywhere. So you're going to get a job right out of college. Materials are everywhere. You'll be great. Yeah. So civil engineering is that major where you basically kind of design, build, and maintain infrastructure. It's all about infrastructure. And some of the areas of emphasis that you can go into are construction, environmental engineering, land development, resources, transportation, geotechnical, which is kind of going into like soil chemistry and that kind of stuff, materials, specifically building materials, and structural engineering. So like many of the other engineering majors we've talked about, it is a little bit broad, but you have the opportunity to focus in on which specific type you want to go into. Whether it's like water resources and you kind of want to understand water like filtration and things like that, you can do that within civil engineering. If you're interested in designing bridges and like doing coastal engineering, like earthquake engineering, you can go into structural engineering. So there's a lot of different kind of areas that you can focus in and what you want to go into after you graduate. So it's a really cool major, and there's also a lot of hands-on opportunities here as well. There is one design team called Concrete Canoe, where you basically make a canoe out of concrete and you compete in a competition. I think our team has either won or has been in the top three for consecutive years in the past. So cool major.
Yes, it's a lot more than just building bridges and stuff like people think it is, which I think is wonderful. And we do have this cool thing here called the Smart Road, which like simulates different weather conditions, and you can test cars and stuff on there. So like Google will come here and test their like self-driving cars and whatnot on it. It's really really awesome, and they're always hiring students. So if that's something you want to get involved in, that's really cool. Okay, so construction engineering and management. This is a really unique major to Virginia Tech. It's not offered at a lot of different schools. It's basically the brainchild of the business school, the building construction major, and the civil engineering major. So it's got about a 50% overlap with civil engineering, but it's essentially designed to create somebody that knows about every aspect of a construction project. It's very hands on, and it has 100% job placement after graduation with an average of 5 offers at the end. So this is just a really, really unique opportunity if you want to have a business background, a civil, and a construction background. They really design you to be leaders on the construction site, whether you're being a project manager, whether you're like designing the building. This is a really, really cool and diverse like skill set that you'll get out of construction engineering and management. Um, it's a little bit less broad of a major than some others, just because a construction is construction. Like you kind of get that specific background, so it's not really like mechanical where you get like a ton of different opportunities. But construction is a field that consistently needs well-rounded, good leaders. So if that's something that interests you, definitely look into it. And they also get to wear hard hats at graduation, so your parents will be able to spot you really easily in the crowd.
So mining engineering is also one of the smaller engineering groups here at Tech, but it is one of the 12 universities with an accredited mining and mineral department. So pretty cool. This is basically the field where you learn about geosciences and you combine it with engineering and management. So you basically learn how to mine different materials, remove and extract materials from the ore that you mine, and then also reclamation, which is restoring the land that you've done extraction out of. Basically, if you can't grow it or make it in a lab, it has to be mined. Like if you think about it, almost everything around you has come from mining. And one really cool part about this is part of this major is that it is 100% job placement. I know that isn't, you can't really guarantee that with a whole lot of majors, but this one, it is 100% guarantee, which is pretty nice if that is something that you are thinking about right after graduation. You also get if you come in this coming year or the next coming year, you're going to get a whole new building, which is going to be really nice to be in.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're getting I mean, we'll get to come back and see that building, but we didn't get to use it this year. So we're sacrificing our experience in that Holden Hall for you guys. Okay, biological systems engineering. So this is also kind of a unique major. A lot of people really have no idea what it is. So I'm going to do my very best to explain it to you. But basically, number one, if you are interested in health profession, a lot of people do this as like a pre-med, pre-vet, pre-dental major just to give you that background. But this is essentially like using biology, chemistry, and engineering to solve problems that have to do with anything to do with biology. So like environmental protection, renewable resources, biotechnology, food engineering, water science. So it has kind of a civil aspect to it in regards to like land, and also a biomedical aspect to it just because of like using biology all the time. But this is really cool because you can be hired by government agencies, environmental consulting firms. You can get into pharmaceuticals. You can work on food studying, like determining like how food should be made and FDA regulations and all of that kind of stuff. This is again a really research heavy major just because you have to do a lot of lab work and understand why things happen the way that they do. But this is a really, really cool major and like a very, again, a unique perspective that you get in being really science heavy, but then applying all of that conceptual stuff to larger scale projects. So that is biological systems engineering. And this is what a lot of people did before we had the biomedical major. So it is different than biomedical. It's more focused on land and environment and resources and stuff like that, whereas biomedical is focused like pretty much solely on the biotechnology aspect. So this encompasses that, but it's a little bit more diverse.
Yeah, so with what I talked about with biomedical engineering, it's more of it does have that biology aspect to it, but it combines life science and medical sciences together to kind of understand different problems in biotechnology, medical devices, and like equipment and things like that. So this is one of the newest engineering majors. It is the newest one. The first cohort was in fall 2019, so it is an actively growing major. It's really cool because you get a lot of research opportunities in this major. It is one of the more heavily it is a research heavy major, and a lot of the professors are going to actively encourage you to do research in any of the different topics that are listed on the screen. Um, Basically, with this curriculum, you're going to be doing a more humanistic approach to solving different problems and also combining that with advanced technology. So, if you're also interested in going into medical school, a lot of students are thinking of doing biomedical engineering and then graduating and then going into medical school because it will give you that background for that kind of knowledge.
Yes, and this is our last one. We did it. We made it through all of them. This picture right here, gotta plug this. It's called the Helmet Lab. One of Kalia and I's really good. Two of our friends actually work in the Helmet Lab, but they design helmets to be really safe, and they put them on these machines, and they like smash them and like crash them, and see the impact that they would have on your head. And then they do studies with the football team and our club hockey team, and they work with mouth guards. It's really really cool. So had to plug that because it's awesome. And you can go in there. Sometimes they have open houses, like give you the empty shell of a helmet and you velcro in pads of varying thicknesses where you think they should go in the helmet, and then they test your helmet for you and they see who's the best and all that. But okay, so we made it to the end. This is the Explore Engineering Virginia Tech thing that I was telling you about. If you want to see more detail about all of the majors, please check this out. I know we went into some detail, but it's really hard to give you guys a solid overview when we're trying to go fast and trying to get to everything. So definitely check this out if you're interested. Um, we usually give a little spiel at the end, but I think we're going to answer these questions first. And then if you guys want to stick around, we'll just tell you why we came all the way from New York and California to go to Virginia Tech and what makes it worth it. The majors we offer in terms of computers are computer engineering, computer science, and then electrical engineering does involve computers to an extent. But computer science and computer engineering are the top two for computers. And then there is a computer science minor. And you can take computer science classes even if you're not in the major. So, like I was saying before, Kavi and I both have a requirement for material science and engineering to take some programming classes just because it really gives you a good problem solving background. So, even if you don't want to major or minor in computer science, you can still take classes in Java, Python, C++, any of that stuff.
There's a question about, I'll read it to everyone. Just for a quick run through of what my first years will look like. College, say I was interested in computer science and wanted to major in it after I finished my freshman year, but also want to minor in creative writing. What would my first few years look like in terms of academics? So your first year is kind of going to be the same as all freshmen in engineering. You're going to be taking general chemistry. You're going to be taking the first English class. If you passed AP English or the IB equivalent, you won't have to take that introductory English class, but it's typically general chemistry, English, the foundations of engineering. You'll also be taking a physics course, and those are kind of the main ones. But say if you want to include a creative writing minor, you're going to take introduction to creative writing, and then you take like some classes that are going to be focused in what different creative writing genres. So that's kind of like what the first few years will look like. And then once you get into computer science, you'll be more into those classes like Java and Python, and you'll be actually doing projects in those. I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, I think you did a good job. And you can always look up your check sheet that you would have for that major and your minors. They're all online. So if you want to see what that would look like, take a look. Two people asked about the Math Emporium. So one really awesome thing about being in the College of Engineering is all of our calc classes. We have to take Calc 1, Calc 2, multivariable calculus, and differential equations. So I guess four. All of them are held in person on campus, not at the Math Emporium. They're capped at about 30, 40 students, and it's all in person lecturing. So not all majors are so fortunate. A lot of people do have to take classes at the Math Emporium, but engineers are not required to take any classes there. Your math classes will all be in person,
Yeah.
given that there is an in-person fall semester. Any Math Emporium, go ahead.
Sorry, with the exception, I do know for industrial systems engineering, there is a linear algebra component that you need to take. And I also don't know if it's also for MSc, but you have the option to take the Math Emporium version of that. You don't necessarily need to do the in-person one.
Yeah, I took our linear algebra requirement from the Math Emporium, and there's kind of a couple ways the classes work at the Math Emporium, but you don't go there and like listen to a lecture. You go there to take exams and quizzes and get help, but you kind of do the class online on your own and just keep up with the deadlines. So to answer the specific question somebody asked, are all the math classes held at the Emporium, even if you're back to in-person learning? No. Math classes are not really held at the Emporium. You just go there to take tests or quizzes or to get help if you need help. But engineering math classes are in person, and any linear algebra class that you might want to take at the Math Emporium or other math class you would want to take there, it's kind of online learning, and then you go there for specific purposes. I don't know if they're teaching classes from the Emporium currently. When I took my Emporium classes freshman year, so I'm kind of out of touch with it. But I'm assuming that, actually, no, I do know. Somebody told me. They shifted it all to online this year. So instead of going there to take your tests and quizzes, you just take them on your own on your computer. But I'm assuming that since Virginia Tech is planning for a full in-person fall semester, that they will be in person.
Or it'll at least be like a combination of in-person and online. So I'd expect going there as well.
Yeah. And then someone's asking about a year-round swimmer and wants to explore being a walk-on. I would say reach out to the swimming staff. If you go online, hokisports.com has all of the rosters and all of the names of the coaches. So I would say either email one of the coaches or reach out to them on social media. A lot of our sports teams have a big presence on Instagram and Twitter. So if you send them a direct message on there, that's also another route to explore. But unfortunately, neither of us really have connections with the swim team. Kavya, someone asked you what made you choose.
Yeah, I can answer that one. So I chose BTU over University of California system, mainly because there was a lot more support that's given to students at Virginia Tech. From what I understood when I visited like campuses like Berkeley, there wasn't as much support for students right when they entered college. With Galapagos, there was more of that community and helping students get like on their feet, metaphorically, and get into the different programs that they're interested in. I also really like the general engineering aspect of it because I know when I applied to all different schools. I applied as mechanical engineering, but I realized I like materials engineering by the end of my freshman year. So I think having that option was a lot better, in my opinion. And I also wanted to see the other side of the country. I've been born and raised in California, so I wanted to see something else. There's one about the requirements for laptops. So I would recommend looking on the website for that. It's the what's it called? The campus bookstore. They'll have a couple of links specifically for laptops that students need. And you can basically find which ones they're offering and you can purchase it directly through them as well.
Yes, and you get a good warranty if you buy it through the bookstore. I should have bought mine through the bookstore because it keeps breaking. Not really. I'm being kind of dramatic. But we do not get paid by the bookstore to tell you to buy them from the bookstore. But if you do, and any problem at any point happens with your computer, they transfer all your stuff onto a loaner computer, and then they take care of fixing your computer, so you don't have to miss a beat at all, which is super, super awesome because a lot of times people will like get their computer wet or drop it off their top bunk in the dorm or whatever, and the bookstore is literally steps away from your dorm, and they give you a loaner computer right there. I guess we can go ahead and give our spiels on here.
I can go since I kind of already explained it a little bit. I came here from California because I really liked the community that was here at Virginia Tech. I really was happy to see the Galapagos community because I was kind of a fish out of water. I did not know what was going on. I was like very new to everything Virginia, so I really liked that aspect. And I really like the general engineering option here. And the food is amazing. So good. So good.
Yeah. Okay. And I absolutely echo everything that Kavya said. Again, being an out of state person, um, I have a lot of options that are closer to me. But what really drew me here was the opportunity to get a really, really strong academic experience and a valuable degree, but not sacrifice any other aspect of the college experience that I was looking for. So I wanted to go to a big school. I wanted there to be a lot of sports and clubs and things that I could get involved in. So kind of the draw of having all these D1 sports teams and all these opportunities to go to and all of these clubs. I think there are like over 600 student organizations at this point. It's something insanely high like that. But knowing that I didn't have to sacrifice any other aspect of the college experience to get an amazing and valuable degree that would prepare me for any job is just really what drew me here. I kind of like to have like dip my toe in every little pool, so I'm involved in like a bunch of different clubs here, and it's been awesome. And also, I'm not sure if anybody has been able to come to campus, but you kind of feel the Hokie spirit and the community when you come here. I know that sounds so stupid and cliche, but it's true. Like the energy of the people here, everyone wants to be here so bad. Everyone is friendly. Everyone cares so much about Virginia Tech and their peers and just making this an awesome place to be. So, um, if you ever set foot on campus, you'll feel it right away. It's just beautiful. How is Blacksburg from the safety and the entertainment perspective? Are there any good places to eat, shop, and hang out? Yeah. So Blacksburg is kind of definitely a college town. We have like a little bit more of like I don't know, not urban, but like 20 minutes away from us is a town called Christiansburg. It's like 15, 20 minutes. And there's a bunch of plazas there with like Target, TJ Maxx, Walmart, all of that stuff.
Movie theater, things like that.
Yeah, yeah. So there's like bowling here, movie theater. There's a lot of good restaurants, and more restaurants just keep on opening up. Obviously, not a ton during the COVID times, but there is always stuff to do on campus, literally all the time. And on campus, we also have a bowling alley, pool tables, like this place called the Break Zone, and there's always fun stuff going on there. Um, it's not Blacksburg is not like an urban place. It's not really a city by any means, but that also makes it really cool because the downtown area is kind of small enough to like walk everywhere. And I think there's good restaurants here. I'm a big fan. Kavya, I don't know if you want to talk about that.
I'm a big fan. I really like food. I just love the food.
Yeah.
In terms of safety, I know that on campus we do have I don't know what they're called per se, but like areas on campus where you can like smash a button and you'll be connected to someone from 911 immediately. And those are placed kind of everywhere. They're in every single building. They're across the drill field, which is like the big open lot in the middle of our campus. So if you are feeling unsafe, there are like places where you can immediately get someone to talk to and they'll be there within minutes. So,
Yeah. Honestly, I've never felt unsafe on our campus at all, even like in the middle of the night or whatever. Never at all. And our downtown is really safe too. And we have a lot of different kind of like built-in features. If you are feeling unsafe, there's this program called like the Safe Ride. So wherever you are, if you want to call these people that work for the university, they'll come pick you up and take you back to your apartment or back to your dorm, regardless of where you are or what you're doing. So in the case that you would feel unsafe, there's like a ton of different ways to get home safely or to resolve a situation. But I truly have never felt unsafe here, and I think that says a lot about our community too. Everyone's really respectful and takes care of each other, which is just awesome.
it's pretty good. I know that there still are more men in engineering, but there is a growing women population here in tech. There are different organizations to help support that. There's SWE, and it's pretty active on campus, even within Galapagos. Um, so I think it's not at where it could be, but it's really good regardless.
Yeah, Virginia Tech puts a lot of effort towards increasing diversity and making sure that everybody feels welcome. And honestly, our graduating class, Kavya and I's in MSc, is like 22% women or something like that. And it seems like so much more. It seems like there's so many women. It's like not, I don't know. I think we're really lucky to have like awesome classmates and stuff, but it doesn't always feel like it's like male dominated or anything like that. In my opinion, I know that it's different for other people, and I'm just speaking from my own experience, but um, there is a lot of effort towards improving the diversity, and I personally have never had any situation where I felt valued differently because of my gender in engineering, which I know is kind of a sensitive, touchy topic, but like I've emphasized a bunch, the community here is really strong. People care about each other. People want to lift each other up. So it's not like anybody's really trying to bring me down because I'm a woman. Um,
I will say that in your foundation of engineering class, it kind of depends on the class, because I was one of 4 women in my class my first year, but then after that it was about like 50-50. So it kind of depends, and it also depends on the major. Like for MSc, it feels very 50-50, at least for like every single class that me and Anna have been in, but it kind of depends on the situation and the class and things like that. But there are a lot of efforts that Virginia Tech is making to rectify that. It's becoming
if
spring
you,
now, so if like it isn't raining, you can go to the horticulture garden. That's really pretty to walk around. You can go to Duck Pond, and also really pretty place. Pylons. You can like walk across the campus if you feel comfortable to that. Probably cannot go into any buildings. There won't be anyone there to open them anyways. But
some are unlocked. Like the new classroom building, I'm pretty sure is unlocked if you want to poke around in there.
yeah.
You can also tour the gym. If you go in and you walk up to the front desk and you're just like, hey, I'm visiting, can I walk around? I was working out there yesterday, and all of a sudden, like, I just see like a family walking around, and I was like, oh, nice. So now they're letting people in there. But definitely recommend just walking around campus. It's so beautiful, and yeah, it's fun place. We also have a football museum on campus if you want to hit that up. Okay. We're both seniors. Yes, we are.
We are graduating, and it feels
Yes.
very weird to graduate in a pandemic. We
I
could
just bought
spend
my
hours
cap and
talking
gown.
about just that topic.
Yeah.
What is the fondest moments at Virginia Tech? I think one of my favorite, I can't really figure out a fond memory, but like one of my favorite memories is there was a meteor shower happening. I think it was my sophomore year, so about 2 years ago. And me, my roommate at the time, and a couple of our friends went down to the duck pond in the middle of the night, had blankets, had like hot chocolate, and just vibed and like watched the meteor shower and acted crazy. It was fun. It was cold, but it was fun.
Awesome. I honestly, a lot of my fondest moments come from my extracurricular clubs and activities. So I'm involved in two of our like materials engineering clubs, and then this club that we're doing right now that we're hosting this info session, and also sports. I have cried after so many sports games just because it's so fun and so awesome. And like we had this one game my freshman year where Virginia Tech beat UNC, and they were ranked way higher than us, and we stormed the court, and like my friend that I was with like jumped over this railing onto the court. It was crazy. It was so awesome. And then we sat outside the basketball arena after and like watched everybody leave and watched the players leave, and like the coach drove by and like beeped at us and all this stuff. So lots of sports memories and club memories, but also some just sitting around doing homework with my friends. You think that that's going to be a terrible time, honestly, and it's not. Kavi and I have spent time in the MSU lounge just
Yes.
doing homework and just chilling. So
I know one kind of really fun thing. I don't know if it was my freshman or sophomore year, but on one of the dining halls, they serve lobster, and they were in the final week for finals. and I wanted to like get rid of my money for like my dining plan because I wouldn't be able to use it in the summer anyways. So I think I ordered lobster like 3 times a week, and it was absolutely
Oh my
delicious.
god, that's so
Probably
funny.
will do that again this year, just because.
Just do it. There's another question about dining hall related since we're gonna go off that. What's your favorite dining hall food slash restaurant? Okay, this is a loaded question because I love all of them. In my humble opinion, top two dining halls are West End and Turner. So Turner is on the academic side of campus. Oh my god, thank goodness. I think those are most people's favorites. Turner's on the academic side of campus. They have like Jamba Juice. They have a coffee place. They have Bruegger's Bagels, Qdoba, and I have like a Southern Comfort place. That's where I ate when I visited here. And I had some brisket that was just like chef's kiss. West End, that's where the lobster is. They have a lobster. They have like fresh cooked fish. They like grill it to order. They have a
Really
pasta
nice
place
salad.
there. Yeah, they have a build your own salad. They have like a carvery where they like serve London broils like beef, and they have like a fresh carved meat every day. They have a sports bar like grill place in there where they do like wings and burgers and stuff. So top two, another shout out fan favorite is a place called Hokie Grill, which has a Pizza Hut, a Chick-fil-A, a Dunkin' Donuts, and a barbecue place inside it. So that's a lot of options. Recommend West End for sure.
Yeah, I think West End and Turner's are my favorite, and my favorite food would be hibachi,
Oh yeah, I
specifically
forgot about
shrimp fried
Hibachi.
rice. My favorite, all-time favorite.
I should
What
tour
places should they
specifically.
tour specifically? Hmm.
I would recommend, like I said, the gym. Unfortunately, you can't go into any dorms right now, so that's not gonna work out. But it's a beautiful walk along that, like the way our campus is split up. We have the drill field in the middle, like Kavya mentioned, and then one side is academic and the other side is residential. So taking a walk through the residential side will give you a good like feel for how close the dorms are to each other, how close they are to the gym and the dining halls.
Also close
Um,
to downtown because they're literally maybe a block away from downtown. It's very close by.
yeah. And then engineering wise, specifically, I would recommend checking out Goodwin Hall. There's actually a giant jet engine suspended from the ceiling in Goodwin Hall. You walk in, it's like, oh, there's a jet engine above my head. And then new classroom building, that one's really, really cool. If you're interested, let's see, what other cool buildings are there? You'll get to see Holden Hall being constructed. You can't really miss it. It's just like a giant construction project on campus. Um, I think actually the Ware Lab is also doing self-guided tours again.
You should
That's
check it online just to
yeah,
verify,
definitely.
but that's a good place to visit for
Yeah,
engineering.
that's where the design teams, the big design teams are housed. But Goodwin Hall, new classroom building. Um, check out Burris Hall. That's like our big, beautiful, gorgeous center of campus. The library is huge. You can check that out.
Fort
Um,
Bridge, that's a nice
mhm.
place.
Yeah, you're not gonna.
Highland, obviously.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to go really into a lot of classrooms or anything just because like they're not really open right now. People aren't using them a ton, and also it's kind of boring if you just walk into a building and look into a classroom that's empty. Um, but if you are a sophomore or a junior or something, if you come back in the fall or next spring, hopefully there will be in-person stuff and you can get lab tours and things like that. So also, I don't know if this is a good idea, but you can just try doors on buildings and see if they're unlocked. As long as you are wearing a mask and stay away from people, I I feel like that's okay. If it's open, then it's open.
Yeah,
Um,
just be safe wherever
yeah,
whatever you're
just
doing.
be respectful of the students and the faculty here and of the rules. But a lot of our buildings are open.
Yes, thank you so much for coming, and I hope our presentation helped a bit with deciding what school, if Virginia Tech's like the choice for you, or if this just helped you with your making a choice. So yeah.
And thank you guys so much for coming. We appreciate you. We want you to come here or, do engineering or whatever. But if no one has any more questions, we are going to end it now and have a lovely day. Stay safe.
Bye everyone. Have a
Bye.
good day.